Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Tyler McNabb. Welcome back to the channel. And so in today's video, we're not going to be doing anything with the quads. They're sitting over here looking pretty, but we're not going to be doing anything with those. So if some of you remember, about last winter or so, I got this parts washer. And so I bought it from a guy here locally, and when I also bought it, I bought a sandblaster. And so I'll throw a picture here up on the screen of what it looks like. And I bought that sandblaster with the intentions of using it as a sandblaster. I had a little, I still have a little Eastwood like cabinet, benchtop cabinet, blasting cabinet. It doesn't work very well, but I've still got it. And so one thing that I've always wanted to build is a vapor blaster. And so if you don't know what a vapor blaster is, it's like a sand blaster. So a sand blaster, you take sand, use pressurized air, and you blow that sand on the part, and it cleans it off by hitting it with all the abrasive. Well, vapor blasting is the same exact thing, except you throw water into the mix. And by throwing water into the mix, it not only takes the dirt off, but it also kind of washes the part at the same time, and it also kind of softens the blow. So if you know anything about sand blasting, it's a very, usually when you use it, it's a very like pitted, rough finish. Well, vapor blasting, on the other hand, leaves a more smooth finish. And yeah, it just looks really nice. Well, the sandblast cabinet that I bought about 6 months ago has transformed, and I'm going to show it to you. So let's jump right into the video and see what it looks like. So if you remember what that blast cabinet looked like, I showed that picture. Well, here it is now. Here we go. It looks just about the same. However, it's got some extra components to it. So beforehand, all I had was the cabinet. Now we've got this down here. We've got this. We've got some lights up top, some cool stuff. And so I turned this thing into a vapor blaster. I've always wanted one, and so I went ahead and built one myself. So I'm going to go through real quick how a vapor blaster works. So like I said, a sand blaster, usually there's sand sitting down in this kind of bottom part, and then there's a little gun in there. You hook up your air to the side of it, it goes through the gun and it sucks the sand up into it, and then you spray your part. Well, this, however, works a little bit different. So what we have here, I'll go ahead and pop this open. So this is the inside of our vapor blaster. And let me turn the lights on real quick. That's better. So got the lights on now, got some nice LED can lights up in here to light this cabinet up real nice. But basically how it works, we've got our gun here. So the difference we have is this gun doesn't have like a trigger like a normal sandblaster. It's just open. So we have two tubes coming into it. This smaller 1/2-inch rubber hose is where the air comes in, and then this larger 3/4-inch hose is where our water and abrasive come in. And so how it works is I've got my air compressor set up right over here. Air runs through this hose and into this regulator. Currently I've got it set at 75 or 70, no, yeah, about 70 psi. So it goes through the regulator into this air hose where it goes down to this foot pedal. Now, since this gun does not have a trigger to turn the air on and off, this is basically my trigger. So when I step on this, it shoots air through it. It comes over here. We have a 1/2-inch check valve. And so if you don't know what a check valve is, it's basically a valve that will only let flow go through one way. So air flows that way, but then nothing can come back. The reason for that is you don't want water coming back and settling in this. So it goes up into there, goes around in the hose, and then our air comes out that way. And then how the pump system works, so now you have to get water and abrasive into it as well, into the gun. So how this works is I've just got a little basin here filled with water and abrasive, and the abrasive that I'm using is sand. It's a glass bead. It's crushed glass, and so I'll show you a little bit more up close the actual abrasive I'm using. So for like a normal sandblast cabinet, you would use anywhere from like 60 to 100, 120 grit crushed glass or something like that. Well, this stuff is super fine. It's almost like baking soda, and it's actually 170 to 325 grit is what it is. So it's super fine stuff because you're not really going for that really abrasive, trying to remove paint and powder and kind of stuff. This is just more removing like super fine, basically stained stuff. And so I'll show you that a little bit here in a minute. But anyway, so we've got our abrasive and we've got our water down in here, and how this system works is this is just a little sump pump. So this sump pump, when I turn it on, it will pump water out and up, and so it comes out the bottom, comes up into here, and then I've got a T. The top of the T goes up and into the gun. The other side loops around the pump and then comes out right here and basically just spits water back out into this, and what it does is it forces the water to rotate, and what that does is it basically pulls the abrasive, the sand, into the center, or the crushed glass, sorry, into the center, so that way it makes sure that the pump is sucking it up. And so that's basically how that works. This is not anything fancy by any means. Usually if you go to buy one of these brand new from like Vapor Honing Technologies, a model like this will probably cost you around anywhere from, I would guess, probably $2 to $4 grand, somewhere in there. And so probably about $3 grand for something like this. I think a benchtop version starts at about $2 grand. So I would guess something like this size would probably be in the $3 to $4 grand range. However, I paid $300 for the blast cabinet. Well, actually a little bit under $300, but we'll round up. We'll say $300 is what I paid for the blast cabinet. And then by the time I bought all this extra stuff like the lights, the regulator, the foot pedal, the pump, various plumbing and hose fittings and all that stuff, I'm probably close to, I'd say I'm close to $800-900 is probably what I have in it. So you could get by with a little bit cheaper stuff, but I wanted to make sure, like the foot pedal, I originally bought like a super cheap tiny foot pedal, realized it wasn't big enough, and so I had to get a nice big one. And so yeah, make sure you just, when you're building something like this, make sure you're using at least decent quality parts, because otherwise you'll run into issues, which I found out. So yeah, this isn't anything too fancy. It gets me by. I did some basic stuff when I first got it. I went through and I kind of coated the inside with a coat of Flex Seal, just to kind of seal any, basically, if there might be any leaks. Like in reality, there's actually kind of holes right here in the metal, but it's been sealed with like some sticky type foam or something. And so I sprayed over that. I sprayed there were some various holes that I sealed up. I sprayed this side door, kind of seal it up, because I don't plan on using it, just use this. I added some latches in. So when we drop the door down, these come up, push down, and that latches the cabinet in, or latches the door down, so that way water can't get out. And so yeah, that's kind of the basics of how I built it. Nothing too fancy. Right now, nothing is run on switches. I'm just plugging everything in directly to an extension cord. So like the lights, I just have plugged in. The pump, I just plug in and it turns on. Eventually, what I would like to do is go through and put everything on switches, so it's all plugged in, the cabinet's plugged in, and so I come over here, I flip a switch, the lights come on, I flip a switch, the pump comes on, etc., etc., basic stuff. So Yeah, that's the eventual plan, but first thing I wanted to do was just get it up and running. And so here I'm going to show you a couple things that I've already did in testing, and then we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how this thing works and does some pretty sweet stuff. So one of the first things I did was just this old 400EX what's it called, brake stay. It was just laying around. I'm not sure how good it'll come across on camera, but to me, it looks pretty darn good. And so, I mean, the thing almost looks brand new. And this, I only had it in there for like 5 minutes, so it's definitely not perfect. There's still some staining that I could get cleaned off, but like 5 minutes in there and it already looks great. This Kickstarter I did just the other day, kickstart lever, man, it cleaned it up super nice. The thing, other than, you know, various issues like dents and dings in it, like the thing looks brand new. It looks so good. And then I spent a little bit of time on this side case as well the other day, and man, it looks pretty sweet as well. Still have a little bit of work to do, dialing it in and stuff, but overall I think this thing's working pretty good. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a part over here and I'm going to show you guys some before and after, because you guys have seen some after, but you haven't seen any before and after. So right now here, I've got this old 450 cylinder. You know, it's not covered in mud or anything, but just kind of dingy, dirty. And so I'm going to show you what this thing will do when it comes to throwing it in the vapor blaster and getting it cleaned up. So it's an old cylinder. It's not usable anymore. I hit up my buddy Jonathan. He does a lot of work on quads and stuff, so he had a bunch of extra like that case in there. That's his. It's a cracked case. It's no good anymore. And then this cylinder, I forget what he said's wrong with it, but basically he said it's no good. So if I end up spraying a little bit of the bore, not a big deal. Plus, I don't think it would actually do anything, because you can spray gasket surfaces and stuff and it doesn't leave any pitting or anything like that. And so, yeah, I think we'll be good there. And so I'll quit rambling here. We'll throw it in the vapor blaster and I'll show you how this thing works. So first thing that happens is I plug it in, our pump starts going, you can see everything moving, the water's spinning, it's coming out the top there. And then if you look up in here, you can see the gun shooting water out, and so that's just the power of the pump right now. And so if I go and I press on the foot pedal, you get this. A lot more powerful. And so I'm going to put the camera down, quit talking, and we'll catch this thing in action. Okay guys, so hopefully that footage wasn't too bad, too blurred or anything for you. Yeah, so sometimes you do get splashback from the water spraying and stuff depending on how the part is. But like a lot of the real fancy ones, they actually have a windshield wiper, so that may be a future upgrade. They put like a little windshield wiper, small windshield wiper motor to clean it off. But anyway, that's not what you want to hear. You want to see what this thing looks like, and man, it looks good. So let's pull it out of here real quick. So I left this side. I haven't cleaned this side yet to show you what it looks like. And bam, that's what it looks like after being sprayed. Holy cow. And it'll actually look a little bit better once I wash it off, because there's still a little bit of like sand residue on it. But once I clean it off, man, it'll look so good and so clean. Like the camera probably won't do it justice either, because in person, I mean, it literally looks almost brand new. So, yeah, I'll probably hit it a little bit more and then wash it off. But other than that, I mean, that's basically how a vapor blaster works. So you can do some really sweet stuff with this. A lot of people, this has become really big the last couple years. A lot of people are doing this, And a lot of people are going out there and buying these brand new vapor blasters, and it's like, I can't really afford to drop $4,000 on a brand new vapor blaster. I mean, not many people can, especially if you're not going to use it for like a business or something. And so my plan is with this is I can use this for any parts that I need. And then I'm hoping to maybe start doing some vapor blasting on the side, especially for people doing, you know, engine rebuilds or rebuilding their quad or whatever, because a lot of people use these for, like, you can do cases, cylinders, cylinder heads, you know, a lot of engine parts, but then you can use them for anything else. I did that kickstart lever. I did the what's it called, the brake stay for the 400. You know, any of those parts you can do. And so, like, suspension links and motor mounts and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then it doesn't even have to be quad related, you know, you can do anything that you want. And so that's kind of my hope with this thing, is to eventually, you know, really perfect it. I do have like one tiny leak in the front corner of the window, but other than that, this thing stays pretty sealed. Except for there was one time that hose came loose and it started spraying out, but I think I got that fixed, so that's why there's some kind of old like sand and debris down there. But anyway, I think I've got this thing fairly dialed in, so hopefully I'll be able to really clean some stuff up, especially if I'm ever working on motor parts, you know, or you can do, depending on the carburetors, some carburetors you can do. You want to be careful doing carburetors though, because depending on the type, that debris can get lodged in there. And so what I've seen, I think before, what a lot of people do is they'll spray carburetors off, and then they'll take it and they'll put it in an ultrasonic cleaner to make sure they get all the crushed glass and debris and stuff out of it. So yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to really clean some stuff up and do all kinds of stuff. So if you've got any questions about this thing, let me know. If you have any suggestions for me, because like I said, this is not a professional cabinet by any means. Built this just on my own time. It took me, I probably built it over the course of three months or so. Just wasn't in a huge rush. Wanted to get it done, but just little stuff here and there. I would do a little bit here and there every night. And so yeah, it's coming along. It's not perfect, but I think it works pretty darn good, as can be seen by this cylinder head that looks almost freaking brand new, except for that side. Yeah, it just looks so good, man. It's hard to justify it without actually being here in person, but hopefully it comes across on camera. So anyway, short little video here showing you my new garage tool. So hopefully I'll get some good use out of it, make some good video content with it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate you guys coming and watching this video, especially since it's not particularly quad related, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.